Very good morning, student. We'll start our lecture 8 on water management course. On today's topic, study of soil moisture measuring devices. See, as we know that we have studied the soil moisture constant and water availability in the soil, it is very important for us to decide how much percentage of moisture present in the soil and what all of the technique that is determined the moisture present in the soil will be done in today's lecture in a part 1 and part 2. See, soil acts as a reservoir of water for use of the plant. Water is held in the soil particle in the form of a thin film with a certain force between the positively charged hydrogen molecules of water and negatively charged soil clay particle. It's always important that how water is held around the soil particle. Water is held in a form of thin layer with the hydrogen bond with the force of adhesion between the soil and the water particles. So space between the soil particles we call it as a pore space. And as the film of water gets thicker around the soil particle, the force of gravity acts and water flow down through the macropores. See, if this is a soil particle, if water is present in this, if this starts getting bigger, the water around the soil particle starts beating, it flows down under the influence of gravity. However, it can be converted into the moisture percentage or volume basis if the bulk density of the soil is known. As we have studied in the last class, what is bulk density? Weight of soil solids, the volume of soil solids multiplied with the density of water. So moisture content on a volume basis is the moisture percentage on overdrive basis. When you multiply with the bulk density of the soil, you get the volume content in the soil on volumetric basis. That is moisture content in the volumetric basis. And why soil moisture measurement is very important? The first is, it is important for scheduling of irrigation. What is scheduling? When to irrigate, how much to irrigate, at what time to irrigate and where to irrigate is determined by the scheduling of irrigation. Through various techniques, we have approaches in irrigation scheduling. The climatological approach, we have soil moisture depletion approach, we have plant indices approach. So, scheduling of irrigation, the soil moisture measurement plays a very important role. The next is estimation of evapotranspiration, that is conservative use of water. The amount of water that is used by the plant that is lost through the transpiration, that lost through the evaporation from the soil is used to determine the soil moisture measurement and properly interpreted the results of investigation of soil-water plant relationship. We have studied the relationship, the movement of water from the soil to the plant into the atmosphere. In order to study this relationship, this soil moisture measurement is very important. So in generally in irrigation agronomy, we have divided this method into two methods, which is the first method, the direct method, and the second is indirect method. The soil moisture or water is expressed in terms of percentage on overdrive basis or on weight basis. When a soil is started to be 10% moisture on a dry weight, it means 100 gram of dry soil holds 10 gram of water. If you are expressing in a percentage, select 10% moisture content in the soil. It means what is the interpretation? 100 gram of soil contains 10% of 10 gram of water. 100 gram of the soil contains 10 gram of water. When expressed on the volumetric basis, you see here 100 cubic feet of soil holds 10 cubic feet of water on the volume basis. The moisture percentage is generally expressed in weight basis, that is moisture percentage that is expressed in PW and can be converted into the volume basis by multiplying it bulk density. Yes, before going with the measurement of the soil sample, it is important for us to know the technique of moisture determination by direct methods. So material that is required for direct method, that is gravimetric method, volumetric method, spirit burning method and rapid moisture meter method, and the indirect method which uses the instruments such as tensiometer, gypsum block, neutron moisture meter, pressure plate and pressure membrane apparatus and time driven reflectometry. See, first before that, how to go with the soil sampling for determination of soil moisture. The material required for that is screw auger, core sampler, aluminium moisture cans, plastic sheets, physical balance and dry oven. What do we have to do? First, we have to take the soil sample at a required depth. Avoid the places where waterlogging is taking place. Draw a soil sample using a screw auger from a desired depth and remove it from the grooves of auger and on a plastic sheet. Then select 50 gram of the soil. 50 gram of the soil and transfer it to the moisture kit. Immediately after this is a screw auger, you insert the screw auger into the soil and you have to lift it. And the soil which is present in the bottom of the screw to be transferred to the can within within a minute, so that the moisture should not be get evaporated. The next, close bore with the soil sample and tap with a metal rod. Then while sampling in a crop, select the spot in a row between two plants. During early seeding stage, take the sample as near the plant as possible, about 10 centimeter away from the plant. So we have discussed the direct method and indirect method of measuring the soil moisture. We will discuss individual method. So starting with the direct method, the gravimetric method. What is gravimetric method? It is an age-old practice where we take the soil sample, we take the fresh weight, we take the dry weight, and we calculate using this formula. So the material required for this is screw agar, moisture box, physical balance, hot air oven, and the procedure for this is take a composite soil sample of 50 gram in a moisture can and cover it immediately with the lid, cover the box with a piece of cloth and wet gunny bag in a field. Then weigh the sample on a physical balance. Then you have to take that is the fresh weight, that is the weight of moist soil. Then you have to place it in an oven at 105 degrees Celsius for 24 hours. It becomes the oven dry weight of the soil. So divided by the oven dry weight of the soil, multiplied with 100, it will give you the moisture content on gravimetric basis. That is gravimetric moisture content. So these are the aluminum cans and these are the screw agars. So you have to take the screw agar and lift the soil from the soil, and you have to transfer it to the moisture can. Then followed by moisture content on a volume basis or weight basis can be determined. Then next you have to place these in a hot air oven. At what temperature? 105 degrees centigrade. 105 degrees centigrade for 24 hours. The next indirect method, it is a volumetric method. So for volumetric method, the instrument is the same, and we have to take the same value, we have to multiply it with the density of water, or the gravimetric moisture content multiplied with the bulk density give you the volumetric moisture content. So the weight of moist soil minus weight of oven dry soil divided by volume of the core. Volume of the core means the core sampler what you are using to determine the bulk density. This is the core sampler what you are using to determine the bulk density. So this is the cylinder, right? So volume of a cylinder is pi r square h. So the volume of core can be calculated by pi r square h. The r is the radius of a core sampler and h is the height of a core sampler, and you will get the volume and can calculate the density of water is 1. Or by directly, if bulk density is available, you can multiply with the gravimetric water content. It will give you the volumetric moisture content. The next is spirit burning method. This is a field method or old practices of determining the moisture content. Here, we generally evaporate the moisture content in the soil by igniting the soil mass with an alcohol or spirit. The loss in the weight by burning is determined by taking the fresh weight and the dry weight of the soil, and finally the soil moisture content is calculated on the dry weight basis. The material required for the spirit burning method is moisture tins or an aluminum tins, then glass rod, measuring cylinder, alcohol, and procedure. How you have to add? You have to add 5 ml for the dry soil, 10 ml of alcohol for the wet soil. Ignite it. Before that, take the fresh weight or weight of moist soil. Then after ignition, take the weight of dry soil divided by dry soil. You get the moisture content on a spirit burning method. So next we have rapid moisture meter. So instruments are there. We will discuss this in next class. If you like my teaching, please subscribe my channel.